Hi, my name is Kieran Quinn. I'm the Research Support Librarian here at Maynooth University. So I'm just going to give you a very brief introduction to EndNote Online, which is the companion piece to EndNote Desktop. So the first thing you'll need to do is go into the library homepage, go down to the A to Z of databases, go into the Web of Science database, and into the product section. And if you go in there, you can register for an EndNote Online account. Fairly straightforward procedure. Just follow that through, and when you've done that, you'll end up with an EndNote account that looks a bit like this, but obviously yours is going to be empty. Mine is already populated with records. So just to bring you through, I suppose, the basic functionality of it, the first section there is My References, and you can see the little box there, so you can search within your references, and they're all listed down here. So when you export into EndNote, they're automatically go into unfiled, and then you have to start moving them around into groups. Now to do that, you just literally just select them. So you can just select boxes, add to group. If you have pre-existing groups, that's great. You can just drop them in. If you don't, you just go down the bottom, new group, and just name it. Simple as that. So great way of, I suppose filing the references as you find them. It could be by subject area, it could be a paper topic, whatever suits you. You can store them there, and you won't run out of space. I think it's over 10,000 citations or records it'll take. So don't worry about that. You'll have plenty of space. So just create your groups in there. Now, just going across the top then into the collect option. This one is fairly defunct now. What this does is searches through, I suppose, classic catalogs, you might call them, particularly a lot of American universities in there. But there's still some useful ones, like the British Library is in there. You could search in that for books if you wanted to bring them into your bibliography. The next one you probably will use definitely, this is new reference. So this is if you want to set a reference up manually. And so, for example, something that you haven't imported straight into EndNote, and it'll offer you a number of different templates that you can use. So, for example, if you were doing an interview, it'll give you the appropriate fields, and then you just fill those in, whatever ones you need. You don't have to fill them all in, just whatever information you're going to need for your bibliography. And just to point out as well, down the bottom here, they always leave this one blank. It's one called Research Notes, so you can put in your own comments in there, and that's also there if you import a reference in. That there's always that left blank, so you can put your own comments in. So just cancel out of that. And back up the top. Next option there is one called Import References. Now this one you can kind of use for two different things. Firstly, you can use it if you have maybe bibliographic records in a pre-existing reference management tool like Zotero or Mendeley. You could import them. Save them into your device and then re-import them into EndNote. You just browse for them and you can just pull them in. Okay. What you can also do with this is if for some reason a record won't come into EndNote Online and gets stuck in your downloads, for example, you can browse for it. So you can browse for that file and just bring it in, okay? And you'll be able to spot them because they're usually .ras files. So you can just pull them in and then put them into whatever group you want, okay? Next one then is organize. So this is a handy little function. This is where you can actually share your groups. So for example, if you're working on a group project, you can go into a group of references and start sharing the group. And you do that just by putting in the email addresses of other EndNote users, and then you decide, do they get read-only or read and write access, apply it, and that's it. Then they can see that group of references and start to go in and look at the references you found, and they can put notes in and all that kind of thing. So very useful. You can also find duplications in there. And you can also go in and look at your attachments. So that means this is the full text PDFs that you've attached to your records. Okay, and you can do that. You just go into a record and you can just attach a PDF. So this will tell you how much space you'd have left and what PDFs you have in there. I have unlimited space because I've also got an EndNote desktop account to EndNote, and I've synchronized the two of them up, so that gives me unlimited space, which is great. Next one over then is format. So this is where I can format a bibliography. Okay, and to do that, I just pick a group of references. I pick a style. There's over 3,000 styles in here. And I'll find something like, say, Harvard. For example, I select that. File format is going to be rich text, and then I can save it as a Word document, email it, or I'll just preview it in this case. And there's my bibliography done. Okay, so all very handy. And I say I could have saved that as a Word document and just add that to the end of my paper. I'll cancel out of that. Next one over then is Cite While You Write plugin. What this is about is you download this plugin and you get this little tab appears in your Word document. Okay, and the idea of this is this allows your Word document to interact with your EndNote library. So as you type your paper, you just click your EndNote tab and you click Insert Citations. You would search by a keyword, pick up whichever reference you want to use, click Insert, and it creates the in-text citation and the bibliography at the end. Okay. Now you can also use this if you wanted to do footnotes, and to do that, you just pop into References in Word, insert footnote, back into EndNote, insert citation, again pick an item you want to cite, click Insert, and you can see the details appear on the bottom of the page, item appears in the bibliography, and there's your numbering system within the text. So you can do either. You can do either author date citations, or you can do footnotes. And just when I'm here as well, if you wanted to make changes to any of these, you can't just type straight into them. What you'll need to do is go into the edit citation function. Okay, and at that point you can edit the citation, so prefixes, suffixes, page numbers, you can put them in, exclude authors, exclude years, or if you want to do the reference itself, you can go in and make changes there if you're not happy with the way it looks. Okay, and you can change your style. So if you want a different style, you can do it like that. You know, it's fairly straightforward. And you can also convert it. So when you've finished your paper, you can convert the whole thing to plain text. And the idea of that is there's no EndNote code in anymore. At that stage, then you can make any little changes you like to it. You're not going to be stopped by EndNote. Okay? And that's great if maybe the style isn't exactly the way you want it to look. Maybe there might be kind of local little idiosyncrasies, changes you might want to make. It's very easy. Then once it's a plain text document, you can make whatever changes you want. And the final thing I'll just show you here is in Preferences. So if you want to move between using EndNote Desktop and EndNote Online, you go into Application and then you just tell it where to point to. So you see I put that pointing to EndNote Online, but I could quite easily change that to EndNote. Okay, if I was using EndNote Desktop, but I'll leave it at that for the moment. I'll just OK it. Okay, so let's go back to EndNote itself. So that's kind of the basic functionality of that. And of course, the next thing you're going to need to know is how do you put things into it. Now, luckily, that's quite straightforward. So generally, you'll find with a lot of the databases, there's an option to just export straight into it. And you'll see that, for example, if I just go to the library homepage. So if I'm searching in library search, for example, just do a search. You can export this here. See the three little dots? And just click EndNote, and that'll go straight into EndNote. Sometimes it'll happen actually, it'll go to downloads as well, but just give it an extra click and that'll push it on into your on file section in EndNote Online. You can also do that if you want to pull a number of records. You can use this little save this item function. Okay, and you can see this, they're saving up here, just a temporary folder, and you can click into that and then just export the whole batch into EndNote. Okay, if you're using one of the databases, so for example, if you something like, just go into different ones here, say Academic Search Complete, for example, would be a commonly used one. And I do a search in that. So if I want to keep one of these records, I just click into it. And then over on the right-hand side, you'll see a number of different tool options. And one of those is Export. And within Export, there's an option there for direct export to EndNote Web. And I would just click and save that. Okay. Okay, so the reference is now imported into EndNote. Okay, so if I go back into my EndNote account and it'll have gone into my unfiled. So there they are. Now they're currently sorted by author, so what I could do is I could just sort those by added to library, newest to oldest. And that item is now popped up the top, and then I can just select that, add to group, and just send it off to whatever group I want. Okay, I'll show you a couple of other different databases just to kind of get the idea. If you're using something like JSTOR, just click into that. And again, if I'm searching within that, so for example, you'll see this one's slightly different. In this case, you just select the articles you want to keep. Okay, and then export selected citations, click down, and you'll see there's an option there for EndNote. So just select that. Okay, and I can send it off into EndNote. And that's really what you do. When you're going through the different databases, just keep an eye out for that export function. And it even works actually if you're using Google Scholar. In that case, it's this little inverted comma one here. So you just click on that, send them off into EndNote, and then you're going back into EndNote and just, go into your unfiled, sort them to newest, and then start to click them and add them to different groups, to whatever groups you want. And that's really it. That's kind of a quick journey, I suppose, through EndNote, EndNote Online, that is. And it should allow you to, export references in there, sort them into groups. Don't forget to download that Cite While You Write tool, and that'll allow you then to, to interact with it and start to pull your references in, your citations and your bibliography into your papers. Okay, and just before I finish, just to point out, if you need any additional help, I'll be happy to take queries, but you can also go into our guides and tutorial section, research support, and there's a section there, reference management software. And there's one in there for EndNote Online. That'll give you a lot more detail on different functions within EndNote Online. And keep an eye out as well. There's often training courses in the library as well. So that's great. Thank you for your attention. And again, best of luck with EndNote Online. Any queries, do feel free to contact us. Thank you.